The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts and guests as individuals, and do not necessarily reflect those of advertisers or sponsors. This show is intended as entertainment and commentary only. The producers strive for verisimilitude, but nothing said on this podcast should be taken as fact by the listener or viewer without performing due diligence. While generally considered safe for work by way of content, some language may be considered offensive by more sensitive viewers or listeners.
Existence, the physical universe, is basically playful. There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere. That is to say, it doesn't have some destination that it ought to arrive at.
So, anything happened since we've been hanging out last time?
Lots of things.
A whole lot has happened.
Yeah.
I was talking with a friend yesterday that it's been a huge
hyperbolic.
news week. Yeah.
No, you got to remember when we last recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there was that.
You know, look, everybody, hi, welcome back. The thing happened.
Yeah, that thing happened. Yeah.
We're trying to be a bit of a respite, an oasis in a sea of garbage. And you know, to what degree we're going to be successful at that? But you know what? Also, if you get pissed at us saying something political, we're probably not the podcast for you.
Yeah, you don't want to try that.
But we are back. It is right before the ho-ho holiday season of your choosing. And I'm Andy. That, of course, is Chris. That, of course, is Ty. And that, of course, is Dr. Mark. And so here's the thing that I want to talk about. And I sent it out to all of us here in our group chat a while ago. And it's not that we haven't talked about stuff like this in our past, but I think we're kind of moving into a different place. Now, I don't know if you guys and the greater, royal you guys out there are familiar with a guy named Hank Green, okay? So back in the days when dinosaurs rolled the internet, there were two guys, Hank and John Green. And
I was going to ask you if they were
brothers.
related. Yeah.
Yes, they are. And interestingly, and this took me a while to register, John Green is an author and wrote a very, very famous young adult book that pretty much lit the world on fire called The Trouble with Our Stars.
The Fault in Our Stars.
The Fault in Our Stars. Thank you for the correction.
Yeah.
And his brother, Hank, science popularizer? I made a new word.
Populitarian.
Okay. Science communicator. He's done some work. He's done his own writing and everything, but he's done some work for PBS and a few other larger terrestrial things. But really, they started out, literally, I think they started out 6 to 9 months after YouTube launched. They called themselves the Vlog Brothers. And it was neat. They would have a conversation, a one-sided conversation with each other, almost like pen pals where you'd send a letter, get a letter back kind of thing. And they would do this kind of call and response thing. Anyways, so Hank, and by the way, Hank just recently completed treatment for cancer. And he's doing better and everything. So, Hank, if for some weird reason all the stars align and you see this, hey, man, glad to hear. But he brought up something the other day that really kind of struck me, and that's what we are all talking about here. So we've got this whole thing with artificial intelligence going on, and we've had those conversations here on KYHO. And we've seen them now grow to the point where, there are videos that are faked. There are so many things that are faked, right? And of course, before I retired from voiceover, it was a big concern, and it still is a big concern, that these voices are getting so good that they might be putting voice actors out of work. And the truth of the matter is, they are. A number of people, my compatriots, are saying, I'm not getting the work I used to, especially in the audiobook realm. So, Hank, I'm going to make that mistake 37 more times. Hank put up a video that I sent to these guys here. And the short haul of it is this, and I kind of condensed this. So one of the other things that's happening is we're all kind of now in this third age of social media where, somebody with a lot of money went and bought one of the major platforms and pretty much ran it, into the ground. And so a lot of us are looking for new places. And one of those places is this platform called Blue Sky. And between that and Threads, which is Threads is a Facebook property, Meta property. Blue Sky is getting, number one, they're blowing up. Their membership, it just is outpacing everything anybody ever thought it would. But, Hank's on there, and he puts up a post about something. Doesn't really matter what it is. But he gets this response. And he gets this response from somebody he's not familiar with. And the person just disagrees with him. No rancor or anything. Just, I happen to disagree. Yeah, right. Very banal. Some would say normal. And so the disagreement was written in a way that it intrigued Hank, and he wanted to do a follow-up. And so he ats this person and says, hey, it's kind of interesting that you disagree with me in this way. I don't quite understand your position. Could you maybe give me some more? Could you elaborate a little bit? And a couple days goes by. And nothing happens. And so Hank pulls up this person's profile. And is looking around. It looks pretty normal. It's like their intro blurb is, I'm really excited to be here, because their handle is like doglover.001.bluesky. Right? So back to the days of FidoNet, eh? Oddly, but Fido. So he looks, and none of these persons' posts match this happy-go-lucky dog lover really excited to talk about dogs. And then he starts noticing that every post is this account disagreeing with somebody.
In a sort of formulaic way.
In a very formulaic way. Like, they start out, these disagreements all start out with, I disagree, I must disagree, I take exception with, and it's all kind of canned. And that's when it occurred to Hank that this thing was a bot. And not only is it a bot, it's a bot that's connected to a LLM, also known as large language model, also known as ChatGTP, or an artificial intelligence language model. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we suddenly are now in this world where not only can you tell or can't tell if a video is real, except for the 7 fingers, which they still haven't fixed yet, which I personally, I'm enjoying the hunt for extra fingers.
Well,
but hold on, Chris. We can't quite tell if video is real now. The significant issue is photo doctoring. I mean, photo doctoring is to the point now where it might have played some part in certain people's decision-making process with the election. I'm not saying it truly affected the outcome or anything, but it's so good now that looking twice doesn't do it. It's got to be 3 or 4 times sometimes. But now we've got artificial intelligence driven things that are in our media culture and conversation that are exclusively there to disagree. Not disagree with us, disagree with anything said. Now, I was having a discussion with somebody the other day who didn't understand this whole idea of Russian bots, right? And why that's a danger, why these things matter. And I was just like, they're there to sow discord. Pardon the use of the term discord. They're there to sow divisiveness. And at the same time, I got something else that I'm going to talk about later, but what are your thoughts, you guys? I mean, this idea that now, and I think the big thing is Hank Green is a tech and media influencer and educator, and this thing fooled him. It skunked him. He had no idea until he had to take 8 other steps, and then suddenly, and if you watch the video, link in the description to the Hank thing,
Yeah, it's fun.
it blows his mind. And he says, I fell for it. Me, your tech friend. So, floor's open. You guys let me run with it. That's the setup, and that's what we're talking about. Where are we with this now, and where are we going? Or where are we going to wind up?
Chris?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in here. First of all, thank you for mentioning the 7 fingers on the image AIs, because I mean that actually there are 2 points that spring off of that for me. One is that's actually sort of pulled back and revealed to us what AI is, and as we're talking about it in current day. And that is it's very sophisticated pattern recognition, repetition, and
regurgitation
software, and replication. So when you as a human engage with ChatGPT or Claude or these image things, you put in prompts, you give it, you either ask it a question or whatever. First of all, it recognizes that pattern, right? And it figures out what it is you're saying to it. And then it uses its pattern recognition to provide you a response based on whatever information is in its database. So that's kind of piece number 1. Piece number 2, I've gone down this sort of rabbit hole with the image making AIs in the past months out of sheer curiosity and a desire to better understand what this is. And I think it's important for people to know and understand that, we talk about ChatGPT, we talk about Claude, we talk about, Google AI and Apple AI, and as if they are these monolithic databases, and which one do you connect to and which one's best? And in a sense, they are, because they're the most visible and they're backed with the most funding. But what I've learned through my exploration and experimentation is you can actually download, and I'm literally running an image generator off of my own machine.
Oh, yeah.
Using database feeders that I'm able to download and plug into it. So any idiot
Careful with that term. Yeah.
It can throw together a relatively functional, and it's all based on, what they seed it with, what they seed the database with.
Yeah.
And so to think, I mean, I think we need to be clear in our heads that in the example of this Hank Green This probably is not connecting to ChatGPT or, one of the other big players. This is probably, some little running on a local machine somewhere, or maybe a small server farm if it is indeed, Russian bots, something of that nature. And to me, that is incredibly worrisome because because now you have people with just unchecked power in terms of shaping information.
Well, and I want to make sure, Chris, that we're not wandering too far afield in that I don't really want to focus on the nuts and bolts of this.
Sure.
I want, and Dr. Mark, you're next. Where is this leading us by way of the big T truth? The ability to discern that the experience that I'm having
is real.
And I mean, I'm also really carefully trying not to trod in metaphysical puddles here, but it kind of walks and talks like a duck right now. So,
everybody talks about metaphysics, but nobody does anything about it.
Right, but I'm bummed.
Right?
We've been doing this for almost 3.5 years now. This is the first time you've used that joke in the
It's a classic.
podcast.
Yes,
it is a great
It's funnier coming from a Hegel guy. Anyway,
but I'm bummed. Even bigger symbols.
Our Indian viewers will get that.
There you go.
So, yeah, and it's funny because I'm unable to get over the Hegel guy thing and the philosophy thing, and especially the Plato thing and the cave allegory thing, where the shadows taken on the cast on a wall are mistaken for reality and so on, which was the Matrix movie.
Right.
Everybody jacked in, and so here we are in the Matrix. It looks just like this.
And I am eating my tasty not steak. I've chosen steak.
I know this isn't real. So, So there's two things that could happen. One of them more likely than the other. The less likely one is that people are going to finally go, oh my God, we can't trust what we see or hear in the media. We should critically examine it. That could happen, but I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Monkeys might fly out my butt.
What I think is going to happen is, and this is pretty cynical, but it's one of the reasons why we worry about bots and Russian disinformation campaigns, right, with the function of which is really just to sow division and to make people believe that the truth is impossible to know. That's the key part of disinformation. So yeah, the reason we're not even talking, the reason why we keep talking about that stuff is that it works, right? And so the problem is not the tech. The problem is that it works, right, for what it's designed, which is to take inattentive people and convince them of things that aren't true simply by repeating it. What was it in Huxley? 16,240 times make a truth, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, and people believe this stuff, right? As this is the thing, it's like, and here, so one, they believe it, what they're told in the alternative media, and the other thing we know now is as a result of the success of this detachment of truth from the image or from the experience, is that they don't care. They don't care about the truth.
Well, and that
which I think is the really interesting part. You can't get around. It's like I spent like decades now. Wow, literally working with the creation science people, one of my early hobbies, and
the dinosaur riders,
those guys, and the global warming denier types. And it's like, you keep thinking that this is gonna, you just give people enough to read, and then they'll figure stuff out, and then they don't.
Well, and isn't that where we all suddenly find ourselves? This, people like us at some point in time are going, the truth has got to eventually win out. People are going to eventually choose the truth, and well, gosh darn it, no, everybody seems to have kind of chosen the happier figment of their imagination. Ty, general thoughts on this phenomenon, or even more so, have you bumped into any of this yet? I know, because of the the four of us, sorry, I suddenly forgot how to count. You are the least involved with social media of the four of us. I think we can all agree with that, and power to you. But where are you with this?
I think Mark is right. It is very unlikely that people are going to go, oh, I need to do some research. And, the reality is where are you going to get, when you do the research, where are you going to go to? You're going to go to the internet, probably.
Well, not only that, who are you going to choose to believe?
And that's just it. I mean, the reality is this is just going to draw people. It's going to polarize them further, because these algorithms are not geared to make us think or learn. They're geared to capture our attention. Because
I'm really glad you brought that very thing up.
That's
Right.
the
Yeah.
word.
And what you just threw out there, I'm sorry I stepped on. I'm going to make sure it gets heard by the public, our tiny little batch of the public. We now live in an attention economy.
Mm-hmm.
And that, if you stop for a second and think about that, it's kind of friggin' mind-blowing.
You know what? And this was one of the things that made me decide that I didn't want to do social media anymore.
And by the way, for everybody else in the public, you've been on a serious social media curtailment for like the last 4 years.
Yeah, and I think I'm better for it. I really am.
I won't argue with you.
I think I'm much better for it. But what was I going to say about? Oh, I got distracted.
What do you mean when you say you feel
that's why
better?
I quit media. Was because I was realizing that it wasn't an attention. It was an attention economy. That things were being socially engineered for just that purpose. And you know what? I'm not getting any money out of it.
Yeah.
Right? They're making money off of it.
Well, and not only that, and you really very elegantly put me in the next lane that I want to drive in, and that is this idea of an attention economy, and not only that, because the first bugaboo that we tripped over here in this is this idea of, is this disinformation? Is this some foreign actor, or whatever, who is trying to sow discord?
Absolutely.
Well,
We were doing it ourselves too, but
But yeah, and I'm not dismissing that. I'm not saying that's not happening. I'm not saying that that is. What I'm saying is something else occurred to me, because now we've got all these people leaving one social media platform and coming to another social media platform. And, Mark, you made mention of something that I criticized that wound up on Facebook, and you saw it, either that or Instagram.
oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay.
Fun.
So, because the last number of months I've been doing a lot of woodworking and things like that, I have been getting, not seeked out, I have been getting
Yes.
tons and tons of woodworking stuff and DIY and all that business in my social media feeds. And I kept getting this, and I mean, it must be because I'm a 50-something-year-old dude.
That's the reason.
It was this stream of, it was just the most ridiculous, huge-breasted, gorgeous woman in a workshop. And I'm not gonna say what the media channel is. I don't want to give them oxygen, although this girl definitely needs oxygen. But like, she's wearing barely anything at a saw that I know what the brand of saw is, and this saw probably costs as much as her car. Okay? And she's there doing a simple cut on a piece of wood about this long on a table saw with a miter
Yeah.
and a push stick going in the most dangerous way possible. I mean, and the only thing, and I put this little screed up about, blah, 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 blah. The only thing Peterson said was, yeah, no safety goggles either.
Yeah. He doesn't have goggles on, man.
But the reason why I bring it up is because this was Instagram. And as a content creator, certified something, blah, 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 some name for it, they can monetize people looking at their stuff. If you become a subscriber to their feed, that, Instagram is now a monetizing platform. And Twaxt, or whatever the hell it's called now, same. And that monetization is powered by engagement.
There, you just said the magic word.
And that's where I was going, is that part of this whole thing has nothing to do with, some Russian or Chinese bot or something like that. And it's just, they just want you to engage. They just want you. So again, this attention economy. And the attention span doesn't even have to be significant. But boy, what's something that will automatically get you to engage?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when somebody tells you you're wrong.
Right, because then you have that impulse. It tickles that impulse to respond. And, from my professional side of things, working in the marketing space, working in, the web space, and, having to deal with social media from that end of it, engagement is everything right now. And what's really troubling there is substance doesn't matter.
Oh, no.
Substance is meaningless.
Not only that, I think substance
it doesn't
might
have
actually...
to be substantial engagement.
No, substance might actually get in the way.
Yeah. I mean...
Because substance makes you think about stuff.
Right. And so it is strictly engagement. It is... get eyeballs, get likes.
Mindless engagement.
Mindless engagement. Yeah.
Because, and Ty, you nailed it. 2 words, mindless engagement. Because when you are mindlessly engaging, you are not recognizing the hole you are standing in, or how deep it is, or how deep it is getting. And when you're there, you will stay there. You will stay on platform.
Oh, yeah.
And
you'll stay
this goes
in your own little bubble where all your beliefs get reinforced.
It's almost not even the echo chamber thing. It's just staying on platform, because the longer you are on platform, the longer your eyes are there, the more you will be exposed to other stuff, not even messages, just other content. And suddenly you'll go, oh, wait a minute, I disagree with that. I'm going to disagree with that, like this guy disagreed with me. And then it's driving that engagement and that attention economy.
And that has been stripped so obvious now, they're not even trying to hide it, where the platforms are now penalizing posts for links to other places that take you off of the platform.
Oh, and not only that, and this is now bringing me back around as the person who does our media and stuff like that, and having my own history on YouTube where I got some attention and stuff like that. There, not only will they penalize you, we're discovering now, and again, remember, YouTube is a Google property. Mm-hmm. People are suddenly big content creators, 500,000 follower platforms are going, here, links in the description. And then suddenly 200-300 people saying there's no link.
It's been
and this is, even as you were saying, Chris, this is even transitioning over to, and I'm going to use this as it could be slightly ham-fisted, but you'll get me. The good guys. Even the good guys are admitting that this is the game. this is how we have to play it. You know, again, you know, you guys all know, everybody that listens know that I'm a follower of Adam Savage and his channel Tested. And up until the beginning of this year, there was very little concern on there. And it's not just him. He's got a team of like 8 or 9 people. Okay. And never really did much by way of thumbnails. Never really did much by way of titles. His title was Watch Me Build This Thing. Watch Me Build This Thing, part 17. You know, I mean, just not really by way of any kind of forethought in. But now, and they actually even said it, the manager of the channel said it. Hey, we're going to start doing our thumbnails differently. We're going to start writing 2 or 3 types of description for our videos. So you guys might wind up clicking on something that you've already seen, but you think it's something that you haven't seen because we're A/B testing, you know, 2 different thumbnails or 2 different. And, you know, again, Kristen from Tested was very upfront and transparent about this because Tested didn't want their audience thinking that they were trying to pull a fast one on them. But they, at the same time, were saying, look, this is the game. And if we want to keep this channel viable for all of you, we need to be able to start bringing in new eyes and getting people's attention. And I guess what's happening now is that we're in an age where attention is the most valuable commodity there is. I'm pretty comfortable in stating that as kind of a fact. I guess at the end of the day, though, it makes me wonder what that means for the future.
Does this all just come down to the fact that advertising works?
Snort.
That's what we're mad about. I mean, because that's what all of this is. The you know, monetizing the streams and the attention of the people on them simply converts to advertising dollars.
And it's all about selling products.
Well, and I think that the average person who hasn't done their homework doesn't realize there's companies that collect data points on you from all the platforms.
Yeah, there's a whole
from
industry.
all the things that you buy, from all the transactions you make.
And not only that, both legally obtained and illegally obtained.
Yeah, it's the wild, wild west.
Because as far as I understand from the last, what was it, the ACL data breach this past mid-year, something like that, I probably got the name wrong, but they actually discovered that this large data company was buying data illegally obtained on the dark web. And they're quote-unquote legitimizing its use. That really smacks to me. That smacks to me, Chris, wait. It smacks to me of, we shouldn't use this data that the Nazis got from concentration camps submerging children in ice water, you know, even though it's valuable data. That whole thing worries me immensely. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
I was just punctuating your point, saying they were laundering dirty data.
That's what it was. There was no other way to describe that. Yeah, it's laundering, but now it's laundering data.
There's no regulation, and with the tech industry and known people in the tech industry donating $1 million for inaugurations.
Yeah.
And the person that's going to be on at the FCC.
We can't not acknowledge that. You're right.
Yeah. Whatever leash there is going to come off.
Yeah, it's going to be a brave new world these next few years. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. I want to talk about the lights in the sky, Ty.
Sweet.
So, tell you what, we're not socially engineering you. We're just going to take a quick break, come back. Narrowband Broadcast Network, that's who we are. That's Dr. Mark, that's Chris, that's Ty, this is me. We're the Hats. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Bye. I didn't fade to black. Don't worry about it. Hit the wrong button. All right, 3, 2, and we're back. This is Keep Your Hat on the show where, hell, we don't know where we're going to go, but we're going to go to Wisconsin and say hi to Dr. Mark Peterson, Professor Emeritus in, I don't even know, is it still the University of Wisconsin something? Something, okay. And Chris,
they don't know anymore either.
Right,
So.
it doesn't matter, I guess. They're just selling off all the properties wholesale. And we're talking to Christopher Vicano down the street from me. And Ty, Robert, Anthony, about 3.5 miles as the crow flies. Anyways, so we're being invaded. We're in an active invasion scenario.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
That's where I went right away.
I mean, look, part of me really kind of pumped the brakes for a little bit. Now, I'm not saying pump the brakes for aliens and that I'm ready for my anal probe, Mr. DeMille. But it was pretty curious. It is pretty curious for a while. But Ty, as our resident believer, what are your thoughts right now? Well, you know, and I mean, obviously, for anybody else who's not aware, we've got a bunch of lights in the sky particularly over New Jersey. They've gotten out as far as Pennsylvania, a couple other places, mostly Eastern Seaboard kind of thing. But Ty, you know, you're up, man.
They're pissed. We screwed up.
We finally angered them enough.
We screwed up.
That they're coming with the lights on. They're
And
like,
they're afraid
this
of who's
stealth
on the
stuff
button,
is
who's on the
bullshit.
buttons,
And I'm going
they
to
are
stick my
coming-
neck out and say, thank God they're finally here and
For the longest
intervening.
time, you know, they
Take
said,
me
"Don't
up,
make me come down."
baby."
here."
Yeah, I mean, just end it already.
Now they're here.
Yeah.
No, I think, and I've always been of this opinion. It's a phenomenon that we have to understand, right? We don't understand what it is. We don't understand what's going on. Now, conspiracy theories aside, is it really?
I mean, let's say no.
Some life form.
Let's say no.
Another planet? I really doubt it. I mean, that's a lot of arrogance. The human ego is just so big.
Oh yeah, we don't want to be alone out here.
Inches is really interesting. Are you saying so? All I've heard is that they've already been identified as drones, right? Some of them pretty big. The one crashed in somebody's backyard here this last couple of days.
Oh yeah.
So
And those drones can get big because I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah, and that
One night I was walking to a job that I had, and I had to walk across the bridge. Portland's got a lot of bridges, but I was walking across the Hawthorne Bridge, and as I was talking to somebody and I was saying, "Oh, blah blah blah," I just, nobody can hear me out here on the bridge. I heard something kind of quiet, kind of faint. I looked up, and there was this big, long drone that passed over my head.
Right.
Now, the military, that's a major waterway, so the military is patrolling that, right? Mm-hmm. But it was kind of interesting that I was just talking about how, I didn't care who heard me because right now there's nobody there, and so the drones do get big. It's just it's interesting.
It's the reason why I set Ty up for this first is because so many people, the mind goes to, space invaders.
It's
It's not. They're not. As
What?
Dr.
Come
Mark,
on.
you were right. They are drones. They're big ones.
Well, and what I've read in this, first of all, size of drones that apparently they can get to like the size of a Volkswagen.
Oh yeah. The ones that they've been using in Ukraine aren't some fucking DJI Mavic thing. They're
telling you, the one that buzzed me was military grade, and it was quite big. It was about 6 feet long, and I would say probably about 3 feet in.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's surprising at all. I think.
Well, yeah, and this is not like a commercial, just some schmo, right, running a 6-foot drone. It's not like you can walk into Best Buy and get a monster drone like this.
Well, it's 2 points. Number one, it's interesting because some of the greatest success that they've had with drones in the Ukraine conflict is, they're using commercial drones. They're literally buying DJI, Mavic drones and strapping C4 to them. Yeah. And Das Vidanius kind of,
Right.
Slava Ukraini. I don't think the real question. Go. The real question here is, to what end? To what purpose? And of course, because we live in the post 9/11 world, the brain goes to terrorism.
Well, I mean,
but here's the thing. To me, in my mind, I don't think it is.
Yeah, my brain goes to surveillance.
No, my brain goes to somebody's fucking around. Because who would fly something that big, that often, with that many lights on it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just going, hi, I'm here.
It does smack of trolling, doesn't it?
It does. And the reason why I brought it up on the back of our discussion earlier is it kind of feels like they're begging for engagement with this. Mm-hmm. They're begging to be spotted and seen.
Well, and to that point, which something really interesting I read in one of the articles about this was that, okay, so you've got these initial drone incidents where people are like calling it in and reporting it, and it gets on the news. And then suddenly you've got this army of citizen drone pilots sending their drones up to go look for it and go try to find it. And now you've got swarms of drones all over the skies of New Jersey. And people are going, what the fuck is going on here?
And I'm really disappointed because, we all famously remember War of the Worlds started.
That's exactly where I was headed. In New Jersey, right? I mean, that was purported to be in New Jersey.
Mark, the reason what we brought up here, Mark, was when you left, it was, the mind goes to terrorism, but what you got to be a really shit terrorist to have all the lights on this drone just begging for attention. And so for me,
they came back with the lights on, right? This is not
only the lights on. I mean, these things, you can see the video footage of. They are just so obviously, oh my God, bright.
Look at there, a drone.
But it kind of makes me go, like we were talking about with the Hank Green thing. It's almost like they're begging for attention. They're begging for some kind of engagement.
Or they just
the minute they reported, I mean, they reported this with bated breath, right? That some of them are operating near the defense industry research labs, right?
It's like the defense industry.
If somebody, it either belongs to them.
I'll give you bonus points, Ty.
If they were a threat, you think they just leave them there, right?
Right.
Like, this would never, if this is where they're hovering over this, top secret military base.
Well, the internet says that they're aliens.
The internet says birds aren't real.
Except in Australia.
The internet's always right.
Always right.
Except in Australia.
I find it interesting that we have the ability to engage with these drones, and I should have used a different term. We're very fascinated with these drones, and we're all losing our shit and worried about it. Yet, apparently, our government, our military, has no ability whatsoever to interdict these things in much the same way that we were barely able to respond to a Chinese balloon the size of a bus casually drifting over North America.
Yeah.
See, this is, I think, and this folds right into what we're saying. I think there's a lot more behind the curtain that we don't see. I think they probably do have the technology to take things down if they really want to.
I think they don't have the motivation or
there's something going on that they don't feel that it's necessary, to Mark's part.
Or there's a complete disincentive to doing it. It's not even just that they don't feel it's necessary. They've got a reason not to.
The fact that they're not doing something about it tells me chances are it's their big ass drone, and they are doing some surveillance or some testing somewhere, and they just don't give a flying fuck about what you think or whether you see it. Get over it.
Because part of it almost feels like a dare. I am daring you to come after me, you know? And here's the truth of the matter.
That drone's probably loaded.
That's the bit that makes me scared.
And I'm going to take this into a serious place and then a silly place. Is it an exercise in accustomizing people, normalizing seeing drones over, getting people used to the idea, or at least to tune out? You know, it's a big kerfuffle now. 2 months from now, if it's still going on, nobody's going to be talking about it. You know, it's
so you're saying it's actually Amazon.
Well,
Amazon is getting you used to drones hovering in your backyard so that they can drop off your hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is so 2020. I'm sorry.
That does point me to the silly place I was going to take it, which is I would not be at all shocked if in the next year we have a drone sighting with a big LED display of a woman in geisha makeup popping a pill and blowing out smoke.
Yeah, right.
And then a voiceover saying, a new life awaits you off world. I think it could be any of these things, and the simple thing is that we don't know, and no amount of speculation online on the internet, talking about it, no amount of people trying to sleuth it is going to give us any better insights.
One of the things that you just mentioned, though, Chris, is something that I find really interesting about it, and that is you said, the truth is we don't know, but holding hands with your idea of desensitization, kind of wonder if it's maybe a little bit of social experimentation to gauge how far we are in the path to not caring.
Oh, now you're thinking that somebody has got some kind of intelligence behind this.
Well, no, just forethought. Forethought does not imply intelligent decision making.
They're not concerned. I mean, again, they're flying it, the lights, right in public. They're not concerned whether you're acclimated to that or not.
No, and the truth of the matter is, I mean, I see these things being taken down with a good old Acme net fired by a coyote. If they really wanted to bring them down, I'm sorry. I know that we've got all this footage of guys in fighter jets saying, oh, man, the thing moved in a way that we can't pop. I am pretty confident that we could take these things down if we wanted to. And yeah, Mark, you mentioned, didn't they say that one has actually been brought down or taken down or crashed on its own? Or
no, wait, what are we talking about?
The drones.
One of the drones. I thought it was a UFO in Roswell, New Mexico.
No, that's a bit of a jump.
This was just last night, but it's like I've been watching the news media lately too, and it's like they do these disjointed stories, which they tell you what they are 5 times before, which is longer than it takes to tell the story. Yeah, one of these drones crashed earlier this week, but they just went, and one of those drones have crashed. Now, here's what Taylor Swift is doing. That's pretty much how
that's because news is news, man.
Anyway, yeah, one crashed.
Maybe we'll have something to talk about when we come back for the next episode, but being that it is getting to the point of solstice and or Yule and or Krampusnacht, that's actually passed. That was a couple days ago.
Yeah, that was on the 5th.
We're wrapping up the year here. We're going to wind up seeing y'all next year, and it's going to be a brave new world. Anybody got any parting shots or closing thoughts for 2024?
Yeah, turn off the screens, turn off the computer, and go touch some grass.
It's hard to get hard to get a podcast out with the screen off.
Well, and that's okay.
I feel you. No, dude, I spend most of my time now on the other side of this wall, giving myself fibrosis of the lung from my thing here is right. My thing here is I'm probably in 2025 going to take a stab at building a guitar.
Luthier.
And doing some other
I will
things,
not
too.
allow the term luthier and me to be in the same sentence. That's just not fair.
It's a little bit of a stretch of an imagination.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Most of my tools are brutalist, and I'm gonna see if I can, and it's gonna be mostly kit based, but possibly the body of my own design. Chris, you got something that you're looking forward to in 25?
Looking forward to in 25.
Oh, that ship sailed so long ago.
Well, honestly, I in the last couple months, I've gone through something of an adaptive transformation, just as a survival mechanism in my own worldview, and I'm spending a lot more time. And this is to Ty's point about go out and touch some grass, go out and get in the sea, engage with people, be a human, focus on being a human.
People.
And what I'm looking forward to, I've changed. My priorities have shifted. The things I think are really valuable and important are no longer the things that are beyond my reach, that all I can do is argue and shout about. But I've reshifted my focus onto the things that are, that I can do something about. And I'm looking forward to, following that path forward and seeing where it takes me in 2025.
That's as noble a pursuit as can be. Dr. Mark, your thoughts on 25 and where you're headed with it.
I wanted to say I'm going to be having a lot of coffee, and that's what I want to say about that.
Sequestered Puppies. Really, when's your next gig?
It turns out late February is our next gig. We're playing a happy hour, man. Woo-hoo-hoo. So who knows what's going to happen now? But that's coming up, and we have another couple of gigs probably scheduled already before the summer, which is hilarious to me.
And of course, I encourage everybody who's listening to go to Dr. Mark's Substack, the motleycow.substack. Link in the description. I'm butchering it, I'm sure.
That's fine.
Ty, what are you looking forward to this coming year?
What am I looking forward to? I am looking forward to coming back to the practice in a serious way. Because I'll tell you right now, it looks a little bit dark out there right now.
Yeah. And for our listeners and viewers, when Ty or I say the word the practice, we mean sitting on our butts for long periods of time, attempting to do absolutely nothing. That's interestingly sort of dovetails with where I am.
Where are you?
What's going to happen is going to happen. What's happened has happened. And without getting too deep in the weeds about it all, I was reading the Mumakan, which is a large, very dense exploration of koan practice. It's got lots of koans in it. But it brought up for me a phrase, a dictate in Zen Buddhism and a few other Buddhisms. And it's an idea of hold no preferences. For me, I think 2025 is going to be the year of holding no preference. And with that, I prefer to wish everybody here and everybody listening and watching a happy whatever the hell you decide to
Whatever
celebrate.
Holiday it is, just have a good one.
Yeah, just have a good one. And, really
Next
honestly,
year's may not be so good.
but just try to be kind. Try to be kind to everyone and everything. moment by moment, day by day, find a way to be kind to somebody and reap that reward. Happy New Year, guys. We're going to be sailing into something, and we're going to do it together. As always, I'm Andrew Scott. That's Dr. Mark Peterson. That's Christopher Vicano. That's my brother, Ty Robert Anthony. We're the Hats. And boy, if our slogan didn't mean something to you the last 4 years, it's probably going to mean something to you the next 4 years.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Keep your hat on, everybody, because we're going to wind up miles from here. Talk to you soon, everybody. See you in 2025. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.